My sister, who's got a seriously twisted streak, actually told me to call myself, and the worst part? My mom backed her up. So I tried to quietly slip out of the house. But my mom caught me and threw herself into stopping me however she could. When I told my mom I wanted to leave for college, she totally lost it, bawling like a child and screaming that I didn't love her. My sister came into the room asking what was going on. My mom shouted again that I was leaving because I didn't love her. Then, without anyone saying a word to her, my sister pulled out her phone and sent me a message that hit like a punch to the gut. She wrote, "You dumb bitch. I hate you. You're trash and I'm glad someone robbed you. Nobody loves you and no one ever will. How dare you upset my mom? She's done nothing but be good to you, and all she ever wanted was for you to stay." She kept going. "You're never gonna be anything. And since I know you've been thinking about ending it, why don't you go ahead and do it? Nobody would care. Your boyfriend dumped you last year, remember? That just proves no one gives a damn. I hope it happens to you again, though I should shut up before you go calling the cops like you used to do to Mom when we were kids." Then she had the nerve to say, "There's so much more I'd like to say, but I'm not gonna be a bully." When I read that, I broke down crying. My mom saw me and burst out laughing, saying my sister was hilarious. Then she looked at me and said, "You're not going anywhere," before walking out. I wanted to leave right then and there, but I had no clue where to go. I tried to breathe, tried to think straight. But before I could gather myself, my sister walked back into the room with that smug grin on her face. She stopped in front of me and just stared, like she was daring me to talk. "What's wrong?" she asked, all fake sweet. "Did I hurt your feelings?" She didn't even wait for me to answer. "Oh wait, I forgot. You don't have any feelings. You're just a selfish, empty shell who acts like the world owes her something." I kept quiet. I didn't trust myself to speak. If I opened my mouth, I was either going to scream or fall apart, and I wasn't about to give her that satisfaction. She leaned in close and whispered, "You're such a pathetic little crybaby. No wonder nobody wants you around." Then she moved behind me and out of nowhere flicked the back of my head. I stumbled forward a little while she laughed behind me. "Oops," she said in a fake sweet tone. "Didn't see you standing there." It hurt, but I didn't turn around. I stood there with my fists clenched, trying not to lose it. I felt completely stuck, like I was frozen in place. Then she leaned in again, close to my ear. "You know," she said, "you'd really be doing everyone a favor if you just disappeared." She pulled back, laughing again, this harsh, cruel sound. "Yeah, that's what I thought. Keep pretending you're brave. Everyone knows you're a coward." She walked off, leaving me standing there, shaking. My head hurt where she flicked me, but that was nothing compared to the weight pressing down on my chest. I took a long, slow breath, trying to steady myself. I knew I had to get out of that house. I just didn't know how. And the worst part? My mom was right about one thing. I wasn't going anywhere yet. That night, I went back to my room and locked the door. I knew I couldn't stay there another day. Living there felt like being trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, trying to figure out what the hell to do next. I couldn't just walk out the front door. They'd stop me before I even made it to the sidewalk. I needed a real plan. I pulled out my phone and opened my sister's messages. Took screenshots of every one. I didn't know if I'd need them, but I figured it was better to have proof. It felt weird, like I was building a case against my own family. But they left me no choice. I saved the screenshots in a hidden folder and backed them up to my email. Then I started scrolling through old messages. My sister had sent me years of cruel stuff. I saved all of it, every insult, every threat. There was a lot. I tried not to look too closely or I'd start crying again. I needed to stay focused. Next, I wrote a list of things I needed to take: a few clothes, my laptop, some books, and the cash I'd saved from my part-time job. I had about $450 stashed away. Not much, but maybe enough to get me started somewhere, anywhere else. I started packing quietly. Rolled up clothes, stuffed them in a small bag with my laptop and charger. I tucked the cash way down in my backpack, under everything else. My heart was thumping the whole time like I was committing some crime. But I kept telling myself I had to do this. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. Just as I zipped the bag, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I froze. My heart felt like it was lodged in my throat. The doorknob jiggled. I'd forgotten to unlock it. The door opened and my mom's voice came sharp and annoyed. I hesitated, then forced myself to get up and open it. She stood there with her arms crossed, staring me down. Her eyes went straight to the bag on my bed, and I saw it click in her head. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she snapped. I tried to stay calm, tried to think. Just packing a few things, I said, my voice a little shaky. For college. Just trying to be ready. Don't lie to me, she barked, stepping into the room. You think you're just gonna walk out after everything I've done for you? My throat felt like sandpaper. I'm not leaving right now, I said, forcing a smile. I was just getting things ready. That's all. I'm not going anywhere. She didn't buy it. I could see it in her face. She stepped closer, now right in my space. You think you're so smart, huh? Think you're gonna run off and live this perfect little life? Well, guess what? You're not going anywhere. I know, Mom, I said quietly. I'm staying here. You'd better be, she said, her eyes burning into mine. I hated every word. Hated that I had to lie. But I knew if I didn't, she'd make life even harder. She stared at me for a long time, like she was trying to read my mind. I kept my face calm, didn't look away. Finally, she stepped back, gave me a sneer. That's right, she said. You belong here. With your family. Don't forget it. I won't, I said softly, just playing along. She gave me one last look before slamming the door behind her. I let out a shaky breath, like I'd just run a mile. My hands were shaking as I kept packing, stuffing in the last of what I needed. I wasn't going to let her win. I wasn't going to let them break me. I didn't know how yet, but I was getting out of that house. I had to. Even if it meant sneaking out in the middle of the night. I wasn't going to let them ruin me. I will get out of this place no matter what it takes. Oh, and one more thing worth mentioning, I'd managed to secretly stay in contact with someone I knew. Just one person. But that might be all I need. I told her what was going on with my family, and it turns out she and her folks kind of knew my mom. They told me they'd let me stay with them if I could make it out there and promise not to tell anyone where I was hiding. That's where I was planning to go. Update 1. My hands are still shaking, but I'm on my way to a domestic violence shelter now. I'm scared. Really scared. The family who originally offered to help backed out. They said my mom was just too dangerous when she's angry. They were worried if she found out where I was, she might do something extreme, and they didn't want to take that risk. I was heartbroken. She didn't even need to know I was there. How would she have found out? They lived way far out. Still, they got cold feet. I looked like a wreck. Everything had happened so fast. The night I left, my mom saw me heading out the front door. She threw a vase at me and screamed some awful things. She even threatened my life. I didn't have time to do anything, not shower, not pack right. I looked and smelled rough. Update 2. I'm sitting in the ER now, picking up some medication. The shelter's covering the cost. I'm honestly worried folks are judging me, since I rolled out of bed looking like this, but escaping was more important than appearances. The shelter is actually really nice. Quiet. Safe. No one screaming at me. No fear when I close my eyes at night. There's just one catch, they only allow a 28-day stay. I do have a job interview lined up though. It's at a movie theater, and honestly, that sounds pretty great right now. I'm not sure how to bring it up, but I think I'll just be honest and tell them I really need this job because I'm staying in a shelter. Oh, and my friend and her parents changed their minds. They said I could stay with them after the shelter time runs out, if I've got nowhere else to go. I just have to buy my bus ticket. Update 3. Wow. It's been almost 4 years since I posted all that. I was so desperate back then. Out of nowhere, these old posts came to mind. I reread everything and just wanted to hug my younger self. I'd forgotten how bad things really were. And honestly, I wanted to hug everyone who helped me too. I wrote down the advice I got from people and I used it. All of it. So here's my last update. And it's a good one. That shelter I ended up at? It was brand new and really well taken care of. The staff mentioned how crowded the older one was, so I lucked out landing there. After that first night, I finally started to relax. I could breathe again. There were about 7 other women staying there, and we each had our own room and bathroom. I was the youngest in the group, and the other women looked out for me. Gave me life tips. Did my makeup for interviews. We had a rotation for cooking, and we got along really well. The staff? Amazing. They talked with me about life, about healing. The security made me feel completely safe. Oh, and a church group dropped by and gave us quilts they'd made. I still have mine. Sometimes I curl up with it and think about how far I've come. I wash it carefully like it's something sacred. We had group therapy and one-on-one counseling too. That made a huge difference. I know not every shelter experience is like mine, but if you're in danger, please go. Family abuse is domestic violence. You don't have to stay. I ended up landing a job that paid better than the theater one. I told them I wasn't planning to return to school, even though I was. I just couldn't survive on a theater paycheck while trying to pay rent. I looked into getting a place of my own instead of moving in with that friend. I needed something solid, something I could count on. After leaving such a horrible situation, I didn't trust anything to last. I eventually found a room to rent. My roommate was a long-haul trucker, so he was barely ever home. At first, I didn't love the idea of living with an older guy I didn't know. But I didn't have a lot of options. Turns out, he was kind. Since we barely saw each other, we started leaving notes to say hi or goodbye. I still have one of his notes. When my medical leave ended, I went back to school, but not my original college. I wanted a fresh start. My family knew where the old school was, and I didn't want to risk them finding me. So I applied to a different one. I told my story in the admissions essay, everything I'd been through. And I got in. A great school. You know, my sister once told me I'd never amount to anything. She was wrong. And deep down, I think she knew she was wrong when she said it. I graduated this year. For the first time in my life, I feel stable. Sure, I'm a few years older than I thought I'd be at graduation. But in the end, that didn't matter. That medical leave turned out to be a blessing. And I got engaged. My fiancé is amazing, and his family treats me like their own. His mom and I are super close. A few days ago, I got food poisoning. It was the first time I'd had it, and he ran out at 3 a.m. just to grab Pedialyte for me. I didn't even have to ask. When I was a kid and got sick, my mom just told me to go back to sleep. So now when he does stuff like that, it still catches me off guard. I sometimes find myself saying, you don't have to do that, even though I'm grateful. He just does it because he cares. He's got 5 siblings, and they've become like the siblings I always wished for. Over time, I've learned to value myself. I didn't grow up being loved, so now I give that to myself. I treat myself kindly in ways others didn't. No one ever made me feel special, so I go out of my way to do it for myself. I buy flowers every week. A therapist once suggested that, and it stuck with me. It makes a difference. No one cared when I was sick, so now I give myself permission to rest, no guilt, no interruptions. No one respected my time or space, so I take whole days just to be alone and recharge. I might not even answer the phone. I've made peace with that. When I made that last update years ago, I was crying. I didn't think I'd survive. I was in a shelter with only 28 days to figure things out, and I didn't think anything good could come out of that. But it did. I was broken back then. Now I'm whole. And I just want you to know, if you're going through it, there is a way out. Thanks for sticking around and listening to my story.